All right, let's get started. Thanks everyone for joining. My name is Allison Rendelman, and I'm the team lead of the Customer Success Associates here at YCharts. Today, we're going to focus on a few key features and workflows on the YCharts platform that are going to help you best communicate with your clients and collaborate with your team. There's a lot of uncertainty right now, both in the markets and in our personal lives during this quarantine. A significant portion of the economy has been put on pause, and it's weighing on the US equity and financial markets. So I want to give you some good YChart strategies to grapple with what's been the first bear market in about 11 years. Please keep in mind that the content of this webinar today is meant for educational purposes only and is not intended to be used as investment advice, nor is YCharts acting as an advising party regarding client funds in any way. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can submit them to the left-hand side of your screen, and your YCharts contact will be reaching out soon with the information you're looking for. And finally, you can find a recording of this webinar on the YCharts site under Support Topics section, and a copy will be sent to all attendees. So now, let's dive in. Starting with our agenda today, we're going to run through a few scenarios that a lot of you as advisors might be facing right now. I want to give you a playbook of how you can take advantage of the newest functionality of YCharts to tackle each of these use cases. So our first scenario today, visuals for client communication. Say an individual client of yours reaches out over phone or email and has questions about their portfolio's performance during the coronavirus crisis. We're going to run a scenario where, starting from their portfolio, you can use the Quickflows tool to hop in straight into a fundamental chart to visualize the economic impact on their portfolio. Then, I want to make sure you're leveraging all of YChart's sharing capabilities. Say you need to prepare for an investment committee meeting or collaborate with your team on strategy adjustments. YCharts allows you to share on just about every tool on the YCharts platform, so you can effectively communicate even when working remotely. And finally, you might not be able to meet physically with many of your clients, but you can still create a personalized client experience with our customizable charts, reports, and visuals on our platform. And I'm going to show you an example of that using our economic roundup that we produce. And with that, I'm going to hop on over into YCharts. So starting from my dashboard here, we're going to run through that first scenario where a client reaches out to you. In this case, your client, Margaret Smith, has reached out asking specifically how her portfolio has done during the coronavirus crisis and what we might expect as advisors for her portfolio's recovery going forward. So I'm going to go up to the Tools section here, and I'm jumping into the Model Portfolios portion of our site. Here you'll see the list of the saved model portfolios I've already created, and there right near the top is Margaret Smith's portfolio, as I've already uploaded it into YCharts and have kept track of it on this tool. Clicking into it, you're brought to the overall quote page for Margaret Smith's portfolio. You're able to see a general overview of this portfolio, the performance in recent months, some key stats, a breakdown of the holdings, and of course, asset allocation. But what this is providing is a pretty general macro overview to Margaret's portfolio, but she's asking you for a specific question. So what can we as advisors do to help visualize for Margaret recent impacts on her portfolio? I'm going to highlight right here on the right-hand side this Quickflows tab. Once you click on that, you're brought to a couple different categories that are going to lead you to other tools on the YCharts site with Margaret Smith's portfolio already loaded in there. The performance and holdings analysis are really useful Quickflows tools if you want to do a further breakdown of this portfolio in general, but for today's demonstration purpose, I want to focus on the economic impact flows. These are going to be a lot of the more current events flows that we create here at YCharts to make sure they're relevant for you and your workflow. So right at the top here, we see we have a coronavirus quick flow. If you're not sure exactly what the quick flow might lead to, you can always hover over that info section to the right and you'll see a quick little summary of what that leads to. but I'm going to go ahead and trust that this is what we want and click on that. What you're seeing now is we've just jumped from the model portfolio tool into the fundamental chart tool on YCharts. This coronavirus crisis quick flow is bringing you into a pre-made chart with the S&P, the NASDAQ, Dow Jones, and the level of your portfolio compared over a timeline starting from February 20th, 2020 to recent. We're getting the data format of the percent off high so you can see how much that data has dropped from the previous high. And what's interesting about this visual is it helps you tell the story to Margaret Smith's portfolio, which is a largely conservative portfolio that, because of her risk adversity, she's done pretty well compared to these major market indicators in recent times. You can see that with the green line hovering above and has the least percent off high number from the other indices. Now, getting this from YCharts to the client is really easy with just a click of a button up here under the export option. I can just download this as an image. That's going to pop up on the lower left-hand side. And what it's done is created a PNG file that I can easily drop into an email to reply back with the client. You already have the information here, title included. I've included my logo here on the lower left as well. So you're able to give a very good and quick visual just with a couple clicks of the button. Continuing on with this idea, not only might clients be asking how their portfolio has done in recent times, but they also could be looking into future events and what we might expect recoveries to look like. Returning to my quick flow section here, what's really easy is this is already loaded, still with Margaret's portfolio. And I'm going to focus on another economic impact flow. Near the bottom, we're going to click on the recovery bull market. And what this has led into is how the market, represented by the S&P, recovered during the time right after the financial crash in 2008. So starting this chart from March in 2009 and ending it in March of 2010. And what you're seeing here is a bit of a different story. While Margaret's portfolio has been allocated fairly conservative with a lot of exposure to fixed income, we can see that in times of recovery, that conservative portfolio might not grow as much compared to the general market. And while there's a lot of uncertainty right now and you can't guarantee results, one thing you can do is approximate based off of past similar events. And what's powerful here is you're able to do a strong visualization of what has already occurred in a modeled out chart. You're also able to change any of this titling if you'd like. For instance, I could add a note here that says, and that's updated for me on the bottom right there. So again, I can easily save this down as a PNG file to forward on to my client of Margaret, but I can also save this chart down in my specific YCharts library. Just give it a name. And once that's saved down, you'll notice this share option now gives me the ability to share with my team. So I can alert anyone at, say, my Launchpad overall team, the portfolio management team, any teams that I've created through YCharts. I can give them access to just view this chart. They're also able to edit this chart, or I can keep it just private to my account. If you're interested about setting up a client group with us at YCharts, please reach out to your account representative. There's someone who can easily help you set up that group. This leads me into our next scenario of leveraging the YCharts tool, especially during these uncertain times. YCharts sharing capabilities help you communicate a lot more efficiently with other members of your team. In this example, perhaps I want to point out to some of my other teammates the difference in Margaret's level growth compared to the S&P during that previous bull market. as a way to inspire more research or possibly inform an investment committee decision to change some of our allocations. So running with that exact scenario, say you're preparing for an investment committee via video conference or a phone call to meet and proposing strategy adjustments and find an equity that is going to do well in an expected recovery. I'm going to go back again, hovering over Tools, to our Model Portfolio section, because I want to highlight how you can share on each of the different tools of YCharts to make sure you're capitalizing on all of those capabilities. So say your investment committee is wanting to consider some new allocations for a lot of your standard model portfolios. You'll see here in the model portfolio list, anyone who created that model portfolio is going to be listed here. If, say, I had a couple shared with me, it would name that creator as the other person. It also helpfully tells you when these portfolios were edited. If you want to share these portfolios with members of your team, it's real simple. Just click on that drop-down option and you're going to see this share option right there. So that way, again, for an investment research committee that's going to meet, you can share this portfolio. In this case, I'm sharing that conservative growth model portfolio with some of my other committee members. And I'm going to switch it so that they can view this portfolio. If I changed it so they can edit it, then that portfolio would land on their YCharts, and any changes they made to that portfolio on their end would also reflect the portfolio on your site. And just like that, it's now available to them on their YCharts Model Portfolio tab. Jumping into this portfolio now, I still need to conduct a little bit of research to come prepared to this investment committee meeting. Again, we're brought to the quote page of the model portfolio, and I'm going to go ahead and rely on this Quickflow option again, because it's really become the easiest way to jump between tool to tool on YCharts. The purpose of the investment committee meeting is to reevaluate some of our holdings. I'm going to go ahead under the holdings analysis section, click on the holdings trailing returns, because we're looking to replace an equity with something that we would expect to do stronger in a recovery. What we've been brought into here is our comp table tool with that portfolio already added and a number of trailing return metrics created in the table below. Here are actually the individual holdings in my portfolio. Now there's a lot of different return metrics here, but I want to take more of a narrow look into the recent performance. So by clicking on that title once, I'm able to see, based on the 3-month total return, what has been my biggest loser in those past 3 months. And not so surprising, the Norwegian Cruise Line holdings has had an 80% drop in its total return over the past 3 months. I want to point out that you could go ahead and stop here as far as your research and just save down this table to then again share with your colleagues who have access to YCharts as an easy way, without them starting from the portfolio themselves and taking that same Quickflow. They're able just to access it through the comp tables tool themselves. And when you save that comp table down, you're saving it with all of the holdings and the metrics you see here. That's actually a recent feature we've developed in the past few months so that you can save a whole comp table at once. But instead of stopping there, I have now a bit of a highlight of what we might consider to replace at our investment committee. I'm just going to click on that ticker, and now I'm brought into the quote page for that specific company. We can see a lot of the fundamental information, key stats, and learn a little bit more about what this company is about. I'm going to use this Quickflows option, now a blue hyperlink at the top of this company page. And because we're looking to replace any companies for that investment committee, I'm going to use this Find Comparable Companies Quickflow. Now we're brought into the stock screener, which, unlike the comp tables, is a really strong tool for idea generation, as we've intersected the overall equity universe with some key characteristics that the Norwegian cruise line shares. It's on the major U.S. exchange, it's consumer cyclical, and it's small cap, small value. With about 192 results here, I'm going to add another metric column that I want to use and narrow in on that 3-month total return. Clicking on that title again, and one more time to sort it from the highest return to the least. I can see some of my top winners according to that 3-month total return metric. If you wanted to stop here, you can easily share this stock screen, first by saving that down and then sharing it with other members of your team so that they as well could start with this screen and do their own research, adding more metric filters, adding another modify filter, just to narrow that down. But you're all starting from that same research list, so at least you're all able to start off on the same page. I'm going to look a little further into a couple of these top options that have performed, at least considering for the past 3 months. With the power of Quickflows, we've been focusing heavily on this single Quickflow tab. Notice it still has my portfolio loaded in there. But if you move on over to the comparison tab, this is a great tool to work with a couple different securities still in a Quickflow manner. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in the top 3 or 4 on this list. And add back in that Norwegian cruise line. You have an option to add up to 12 securities, but now we have a couple other flows that we can use. I'm going to take us into a fundamental chart, and we're going to see the margin and valuation. What I'm looking at here are now those holdings that I typed in, along with the financial metrics for their PS, the profit margin, and the revenue. We're seeing that normalized over the past 5 years. There's some really compelling visual information here, and I could easily go ahead and export this as a PNG file to send along, but I can also save down this chart. Sharing it with my team, allowing them to edit it. So this way they're able to use this dynamic chart, perhaps add in other equities that they'd like to evaluate, comparing to those original that I started with. And that way, with all the sharing capabilities on YCharts, you can create more of a dynamic experience with your team members to be able to take information or research that you've started with and run their own scenarios on that as well. Finally, I want to end with the last scenario today of the ability to create a personalized client experience with charts, reports, and visual options that we have on YCharts. So in this scenario, you're preparing a PowerPoint update to reflect on the past current market conditions from the beginning of the year, or the Q1 economic update if you do that regularly. What's a great starting point for that, and I want to highlight this all to you today, is if you go to support and then support topics. We're going to go ahead and leave this page. And the support topics page has a lot of valuable information should you find yourself wanting to look into a little bit more about YCharts, watch videos of our various tools, understand a breakdown. But right here at the top, under the presentation materials, we've produced quarterly econ summary decks of major market indicators using YCharts data. So right at the top here is our Q1 2020 econ summary deck. Just a click of a button, I'm able to download that to my computer. And opening this on my end, you can see we have just about 20 different slides that give you a market update. Great visuals to send along. Now this as is a good communication tool for reaching out to your clients. However, it's branded strongly with a lot of the YCharts logo. Clients, especially in this time, like to know that their advisors are working and looking out for them, and creating that personalized experience, especially when you can't meet in person, is a very valuable tool to connect in times when a lot of us are working remotely. So what I suggest here is you can use this econ summary deck as either an idea generation or a starting off point for creating your own kind of summary in formatting that matches your firm. I've already done that here. I'm just going to open that up. In this case, I just want to cover a few things: stock market performance, sector performance, reports on my portfolio. But I've also made it to match the theme and color scheme of my firm. Replacing it with my own logo and my own color scheme, with just a little bit of formatting, I'm able to transform the basic economic summary deck that we've produced into a much more personalized roundup for my clients and what they would like to see in a color scheme that matches my firm. So running through a quick scenario now, something that is really powerful that we've just added to YCharts and I'm really excited to show you is this ability to show custom colors on your charts. So a lot of what you see here can be easily replicated on the YCharts tool. I want to go ahead and make this chart, but in my firm's customization and colors. Hopping quickly back into YCharts, we're going to go to the fundamental chart. And for reference, what we're building is just a roundup from the beginning of the year of the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones, and their total returns since that time. Back on that fundamental chart tool, I'm just going to quickly recreate that image on my account. So adding in those major market indices. And I'm going to change that data format to normalized. And I'm going to set my dates. So we're occurring on the first of the year and ending at the end of the quarter. What I'm excited to show you next is one of the latest features we've added to YCharts. And as a customer support agent, it's been one of the larger requests I've had since actually the beginning of my time here. And that's the ability to create customizable colors on the charts themselves. So you're going to be able to do that under chart options right at the top here and the show custom colors option. Clicking on that, I've already set up with my account manager the hex codes or the specific color designs that I want. And just like that, now you're actually creating visuals that match your firm's color schemes. So adding just a few more touches here to match the chart that we saw in that PowerPoint. And then I can go ahead and export this as an image back on my computer to add to this PowerPoint later on. Now, I've taken what was the YCharts General Economic Update PowerPoint and used it as a great starting off point for me to rebuild it in the colors that match my firm, but also I can add some specific information to my firm and my models that are going to be personalized for our clients. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar. To go over what we talked about today, we've started with the updated economic impact Quickflows that are going to be some of the most frequently added and newer design Quickflows at YCharts so that we here can help you best communicate to your clients and aid in those conversations. We were able to jump straight from a model portfolio into a fundamental chart and create a good visual tool for you to pass along. Then we talked about the improved communication and collaboration that YCharts allows you with your team with our robust sharing functionalities across the platform, even when working from home. Finally, I hope you followed along on a good way to create a better, more personalized client experience with these customization features in the charts, portfolio reports, and other visuals, including that econ summary deck, so you can easily create client visuals to pass around on a broad scale. I hope you enjoyed viewing this webinar today. I do want to reiterate that a recording of this will be made available on the support topic section of our site in case you need to review anything we went over or to share with your colleagues. For any questions that you might have submitted during the presentation, your YCharts contact will be reaching out soon with the information you're looking for. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. Here at YCharts, we hope these demonstrations are valuable to creating content, learning new ways to connect with clients, and also offer a great level of support that you can rely on. We always appreciate any feedback that you might have. If you have any questions regarding what we covered today or would like to learn more, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.